So the Tonner BJD versus the Tonner regular fashion doll. Let's see which one is better. First of all, you can have a look at them. Aesthetically, they look pretty similar, other than a few joint differences. Now, the ones I've got in front of you, to highlight the difference, they are exactly the same doll, except that one of them is a regular vinyl fashion doll, the one on the left, whereas the one on the right is a resin BJD. That means she is ball jointed, and that does make for a few differences. But first of all, what about the similarities? If we have a look at their faces, you can see they are nearly identical. They use the same sculpt, the same painting style, and pretty much everything is similar. The color difference is a little hard to tell, but the BJD on the right is just slightly paler in color as opposed to the vinyl doll on the left. If we move down and have a look at their jointed torso, they do look pretty different. And personally, I would say the one on the left is a more attractive and somewhat more realistic looking body. The big ball in the center of the torso for the resin doll is a little bit odd. You will see a bit later that it does make some improvements in the posing, but personally, I'm not sure it's worth it. In terms of realism, both of them lack realistic bust and most things that would make them look like a regular human. If we move down, the legs, very similar shape. We can see those big balls at the top of the thighs again. And the BJD, she does have jointed ankles, unlike the other, which again is going to improve her posing. I put them on the stands that they came with. The regular doll comes with the saddle stand, whereas the BJD, she comes with the waist hook stand, which I find very hard to pose dolls with. I took a long time getting her standing correctly with this one today, and I can see why they've done it. It allows you to do certain poses that you wouldn't be able to otherwise, but honestly, I'm not sure that it is worth the problems. Another obvious difference, if we have a look straight up at them, is that the resin doll, she is wigged, whereas the regular doll, she obviously is rooted. There are some wigged standard vinyl dolls as well, but not quite as many. All of the BJDs, they are wigged. Now, this again poses both positives and negatives. The hair will always fall in a more realistic way if it is rooted as opposed to wigs. You tend to find most wigged dolls, they do have bangs or fringe with the wigs, and honestly, very few people in real life have those bangs, and I do prefer without. So again, it has some benefits, some downsides. Benefits are that you can change her hairstyle as much as you want. So let's have a look at how that looks. Now let's explore the posing of these two dolls. They obviously have pretty similar joints with a couple of differences, so that's going to make them pose differently. The other thing is the type of joints. A lot of ball jointed dolls have what's called double jointed elbows and knees, but unfortunately these dolls don't. What that means is that there's no extra piece in there at the place of the elbow or at the place of the knees, and that means they only can do a single bend rather than a double bend. There's also a very significant weight difference between the two dolls. The resin doll, she is much heavier than the regular vinyl doll. That can be a good thing for holding poses, but it can also be a tricky thing for putting her into those poses that you want her to do. To summarize, aesthetically, once they're dressed, these two dolls are going to look nearly identical. So that's probably not going to be your main reason for choosing to have a resin BJD Tonner in your life. The biggest differences we have are the hair and the way these two dolls pose. So if you're a person who really loves to customize and make your dolls unique, then the fact that you can change the resin doll's hair whenever you want is going to make a big difference. However, if you prefer that more natural fall to the hair, then the regular Tonner is perhaps going to be your preference. When it comes to posing, although they will both hold very similar poses when standing, the resin doll can be a bit harder to get into those poses, and the extra weight of the body can make her want to fall and flop around. So you may want to take care. But if you love to sit your dolls down or have them take on less common poses for a fashion BJD, then the resin doll, she's going to win hands down. She looks much more natural when she poses, and especially when she's sitting down, she can take on a vast number of poses that the other doll really can't form. So is she worth the extra money and time it takes to get hold of one of these dolls? Personally, and for me, I'm not sure, but definitely for some collectors who love to pose and play with their dolls, she is going to be a must-have.